The reason why I say men are responsible for everything is because we are in the leadership role, and this is a responsibility that God put on men. Simple and plain. And if men behave in the right way, since we are leaders, what will happen is women will follow, since they are followers. It's very simple. All men need to do is behave. We have a responsibility to behave morally.
And not that she would follow something like me.
We're not talking about following me. We're talking about following in your footsteps of doing OnlyFans. You're basically saying, I do it, but don't do it. Did I say I want my daughter
to follow
You said you don't. So I said if she was watching the podcast and you're promoting it, and I'm saying it's bad, if she was watching the podcast, is she more likely to do OnlyFans
my
listening to you?
My daughter will not watch this podcast.
Oh, God.
Wow. And that's just it, basically. Any messaging that is against the narrative, women should be able to do what they want to do. Promiscuity is not bad. Women are able to finally have their autonomy, agency, and independence. And that's what's more important here. That trumps anything that a man could say to the contrary. And what you're about to see now is, Jasmine Jafar and Leah Jane. Jasmine Jafar, she's someone that I've talked about in the past. She is known as the OnlyFans lawyer. This was a woman who came from a very, very stable, solid family background, traditional, in fact, Muslim family background. Mother was a lawyer, father was an engineer. They put her through college. She graduated to become a lawyer. She even pretty much made partner. But then some way into her career, I mean, she's only 28, some way into her career, she decides that no, she wants to be a pornographer because there's more money in it and it's an easier way of life. And she's happier. Once again, more money, easier way of life, and she's happier. Jasmine is pretty unique as well because she doesn't fit the narrative of the women who go into this industry are abused, unintelligent, and in some way they've been forced. No. She goes in there with her eyes wide open, extremely articulate, and she advocates for OnlyFans, and she does a really good job of it. This particular discussion demonstrates her intellect, and once again, the very, very solid arguments in favor of arguments that really and truly take away men's ability to dictate anything about what a woman chooses to do in 2024.
Don't think that having a society where we don't allow that or don't accept that or stigmatize that is really going to be better for anybody. I think the stigma and the enforcement of these norms, and I know you're not somebody who's like shaming women that do this or anything, but the stigma hurts the women that are in it that we don't want in it because they don't have another choice, but it just hurts everybody.
I mean, that's quite an extraordinary argument there. So once again, stigma and shame, the very social and societal instruments that enabled societies in the past to protect themselves from degeneracy and debauchery, Jasmine is arguing is harmful to women who choose a promiscuous job that enables them to put money on the table. I mean, where do you go from there? So again, remember that Jasmine Jafar, that's not her real name, by the way. This is a skilled lawyer. I mean, you could almost argue, well, I won't say what I was going to say, actually. Well, let's just return back to the clip. This is an amazing debate. And once again, if you're in your 40s and 50s and, you're not privy to the younger generation, you're not dating because you're already married, you're so far removed from the reality of what is going on and why it is our society is plunging at breakneck speed. And spokespeople like Jasmine Jafar, who's earning a fortune on OnlyFans, and a lawyer or ex-lawyer is making arguments that will make people like Octavia seem as though they're the ones that are pushing and keeping women down. Let's go back to the clip.
Well, there are no solutions, only trade-offs. So for a society that is safe and healthy and happy, I would take a couple of OnlyFans girls that are unhappy because they're being shamed for their work, personally. I'd rather live in a society that is protective of the nuclear family than protective of an OnlyFans girl.
You know, whatever. And then depending on where you live and who you're around, we are in a culture war for a reason. And like, there's a lot of people who agree with you and there's a lot of people who agree with me. And I think we can have a society where not everybody is following one type of ideology. And so if something about this was inherently bad, or just the experience of being objectified or putting myself on the internet to be objectified would make me feel a negative way, I don't think I'm that much of an anomaly, in the sense that there are a lot of people who would prefer to do something like this, especially as the stigma becomes less and less rampant, because OnlyFans has.
So you want to get rid of stigma with sex work?
Yeah, of course.
And there you have it, straight, clear as day. She wants to get rid of the stigma of sex work, because from what she's saying, and listen to the argument, because I hear this argument all the time. Hey, society's moved on. Now, whenever people say that, they do so not being aware that society is being engineered. We didn't just parachute here. We have been gradually steered to this point. What she's not taken into consideration is the fact that media, social policies, and pretty much, and most especially, the re-education generation by generation by generation to remove traditional family values, that is what is steering this slide down into a far more liberal degeneracy, a far more liberal attitude towards debauchery. That's what's going on here. And so as long as the forces against humanity keep adding more and more pressure by way of, creating these social groups, these divisory groups, and also, dare I say, manipulating our economies such that, in this situation, women are almost forced to go down this route in order to put food on the table, a roof over their heads, and putting men in a position where they actually can't step up to the plate because they can't earn as much money. Look, there are a number of many different factors all orchestrated, whether we like it or not, to create an environment that allows this understanding that, society is becoming much more liberal. Therefore, then for her, she believes, well, all we have to do now is remove stigma. If we remove stigma, then more people are going to want to do this, and more people are going to see this as just another option in society. Again, the ultimate and end game for this is the eradication of family as we know it, in favor of what I truly believe is a transhumanist agenda, which is, we have to look at the book of Revelation and so on and so forth. Now, for a lot of people, that is so far down the line, but we are heading somewhere, folks. Okay. This route is heading somewhere. There is a reason why, if more and more men cannot find wives or mothers for their children, and more women believe that they need to go down this route to objectify themselves, and the ensuing result, which is less human beings being born, the population levels in our country is plunging.
Now there's baby mama culture, there's hookup culture, there's OnlyFans, there's sex workers. You can make money just sitting at your house. The single mother epidemic is crazy. You've talked about the stats with that. America leading the world in single mothers, not especially the Black community, the Hispanic community, even the white community. Popped off without crazy. 75% of Black Americans born to single mothers. Crazy stat.
My last relationship actually ended. The fact that I'm saying this right now, but my last relationship actually ended because I was not ready to make that commitment to having kids and getting married because I was so focused. I fell victim to that feminist, girl boss, workaholic culture. I really did. I thought there was no way for me to succeed in my career and start a family. So for the past 20 something years of my life, I actually was, no, there's no way I can do both. I can't have kids. And this is a real phenomenon that a lot of females have fallen victim to of the whole girl boss culture. And we have to break down, what does that actually really mean?
You can see how, for example, men resorting to AI OnlyFans being, well, an option. We're already seeing that men are certainly leaving Western countries to go to, Eastern countries to find wives and what have you else. And by the same token, I'm hearing, this is another thing that I heard during the holiday, I'm also hearing about this 4B movement, which I'm going to be doing another video about, which is essentially women just saying, well, we don't need men, so we're not going to have any interaction with men altogether. Again, this is a narrative to destroy and make sure that the plan to destroy family in the West, to destroy humanity, moves to a final stage. But again, I digress. Let us hear a bit more from Jasmine and just listen to this mindset because it's scary.
The reason why I say men are responsible for everything is because we are in the leadership role, and this is a responsibility that God put on men.